The Invisible Wounds of War, Returning Vets, and PTSD, next on Wyoming Chronicle. Hello, I'm Richard Ager. Welcome to Wyoming Chronicle. We're in Sheridan at the VA Medical Center, and I'm here to take a closer look at how the military and veterans are dealing with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. This condition affects an estimated 1 in 5 Wyoming veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, and when they seek treatment, they can get it here. For nearly a century, this quiet hilltop in Sheridan has been a refuge for veterans suffering the lingering effects of wartime trauma. From one war to the next, what was once labeled shell shock became battle fatigue, and now PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
How has your overall anxiety been over the last couple of weeks?
It seems like, as it has been in the last few years, that it comes and goes. There's days that are good and I feel focused and I feel like I can accomplish things. But then there's days where I'm so anxious that I isolate myself and I feel like I can't deal with life situations or people. And
Barbara Rathbun is an Army veteran who served in Desert Storm, the first Gulf War. She finished her 4 years of service with no apparent problems. It took 15 years for the stress, depression, and anxiety to build up and force her to seek help.
Do you notice that there's public areas that you try to avoid or that you're moving away from because of that anxiety?
Absolutely. It can be groups of people or just individual people too. I have a hard time forming relationships with individuals.
Okay.
And so I have really missed out on a lot in the last few years by giving up friendships. And then also in places where there's a lot of people, it just seems that I feel like the walls are crashing down on me, and I don't like to be in those situations.
Barbara is one of many veterans getting therapy, though less than half ever seek help. Often, veterans face a range of issues involving PTSD, including homelessness, poverty, and risk of suicide. You see the signs amid the proud service branch names attached to each street in this 300-acre estate. Providing shelter is a new beginning for some, as are the programs for addiction, depression, and other mental health issues. It's all part of paying back some of the debt owed to the nation's servicemen and women.
I didn't feel like I was alone in all of this. You know, I was able to relate and understand the issues that other women were dealing with, and likewise they understood mine, and we were able to form relationships based on that and then to go forward with that.
Exactly, and that's kind of where we like to start, in that really safe environment, and then it kind of provides that reinforcement, that self-esteem to be able to take some of those risks and get outside of yourself, where things become a little more uncomfortable. Because what we know about PTSD, it's kind of like an accumulation of symptoms that really socially impede you from living a really full, happy, and capable life.
Right, exactly.
And joining me at the Sheridan VA Medical Center, we have Dr. Mark Mann, Associate Chief of Staff of Mental Health Services, and Jason and Julie Kaufman. Jason is an Army veteran diagnosed with PTSD, and Jason and Julie are dealing with it as a couple. Welcome, all of you. Thank you. Dr. Mann, first, a couple of basics. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a mental health problem that can occur when somebody goes through a traumatic event, whether it be a event like war, assault, a disaster. We all recognize when we've been through a traumatic event. Why is it so sometimes hard to nail down that somebody has that problem?
Well, once somebody's gone through a traumatic event, there's normal processes that take place for a person to heal. And if they don't get to go through the normal processes of healing and just have like a post-traumatic reaction and actually recover on their own, certain patterns form in the person's life that become problematic. They get these clusters of symptoms that then affect them, in multiple areas of their life. Sleep, anger, irritability, loss of idea of what the future is going to be like. They can't form close personal relationships. They have intrusive thoughts and memories of the trauma. They come at them when they sleep, so then the sleep gets disturbed. So there's many different ways that these symptoms then creep in. And when they come here, our attempts to treat that is to go back and to start the healing process.
Well, Jason, we'll get to your eventual diagnosis in a bit, but first, your Army career went pretty well for quite a long time. You were in advanced school for linguistics training. You served in Korea, and then in January '05, I believe it was, your 4-year term was actually up, but you were stop-lossed, which is a term we haven't heard for a little while now. But in other words, you could not leave the service. Instead, you were redeployed to Iraq at that point. What effect did that have you on your, outlook on just how things were going for you?
Well, actually, before I was on the stop loss, I knew that it was going to happen. I had a good idea that it was going to happen about 60 to 90 days before I actually got the paperwork. I was really on the fence about whether or not I should just re-enlist, at least just to go on deployment. Because I was fire support non-commissioned officer, meaning I was a team leader, and I had 5 soldiers that directly underneath me. I'd been training them, I think the newest one, for at least a year before our deployment, before my end of term in service came up, my ETS date. So I can't say that I'm really bitter about being stop-lossed, because I was on the fence anyway, and the Army just ended up making my decision for me.
Well, Julie, you have written in a letter that you shared with us that you would call Jason while he was in Iraq to catch up with him and hear explosive devices hitting the front post where Jason was. It's probably pretty hard for you to say how was your day.
It was different. Jason would call often, and it was in the middle of the night because of the time difference, and so I would always get these phone calls in the middle of the night to wake up and visit, and every now and then I would hear something in the background, and Jason would stop the phone call, and he would kind of pause for a minute, and he'd say, "What? Hold on," and then he'd continue on, whether he needed to go attend to the situation or needed something needed to be done with it, or if he could just continue on with our phone call about the day or whatever we might have been visiting about. It was different.
Was it difficult for both of you?
It was difficult for me because my mind would immediately go somewhere else when that happened. I mean, part of my job in Iraq was a crater analysis. So every time a rocket or something hit the forward operating base, and I was at Falcon, not every time, we had different teams that would do it. And anyway, sometimes if I was on the phone while I was on that duty and something would go off, I'd have to cut the phone call off and go into a crater analysis. And basically what that is the crater that the rocket creates. You have to find the direction and the pitch and all this other stuff and how big and what type of round it was to confirm what the radar picked up in Baghdad.
It's got to be stressful to say to your loved one, honey, I've got to put the phone on hold now because the rocket has just created a crater I have to go and check out.
Right.
And I didn't get many details while he was on the phone.
No, she didn't. I was just like, well, I might have to go. And then I'd wait to see if somebody came to get me, and if they didn't, then I would continue our conversation.
Well, of course, to continue your story, on your first leave from Iraq, you got married, and you were back in Iraq for another 6 months, and then you were home. What was it like to be going home?
On leave or when I finally was finished?
Was that not the end of your service?
Yeah, it was the end of my service. After I got home from Iraq,
yeah.
It was awesome. I was ecstatic. I thought everything was going right. I did everything that I was supposed to in Iraq. I got to be home with my new bride, and everything was great. Everything was great. Everything. I had some cash in my pocket because it's not like I could spend it in Baghdad. So everything was really good when I came home.
Now, is this typical that it takes a while for the storm to gather?
Sure, lots of veterans find that, the initial return, everybody's gathered around your family, everybody's glad to see you back. But as that wears away, the symptoms start to creep in. So we have delayed onset a lot of times with PTSD, and delayed onset for many veterans can be years, not even just months or a year. It could be many years before something finally catches up. There's lots of ways that veterans cope with the symptoms on their own, and they might not be the most healthy, and they might not be a healing way, but they work. And if they're in the right environment, it can kind of
self-medication, for example.
Correct. Alcoholism, using alcohol to self-medicate. Jobs where the supervisors kind of understand because maybe they're veterans and they kind of put up with things that other supervisors wouldn't. Spouses that protect their husbands. So lots of different ways that the environment can kind of insulate them to the symptoms.
Do you get the sense now, in looking back, that you were pushing things down or aside?
Yes, looking back now, I can definitely say that I was doing that. There was, I don't know, I'd really, my way of dealing with it is I was kind of thrill seeking. Sometimes I'd be really spontaneous. I would try to find ways to get that same elevated sense that I had when I was in combat during a gunfight or whatever have you. I started riding motorcycles too fast, and I started doing other stuff. I never got into self-medication as much. I did like to party, though.
It's hard to imagine how you could possibly reach that same level of adrenaline and stimulation that you would get in a combat situation in war.
It's really hard because you can't find anything that you do. All the stuff that you used to enjoy, I noticed that was the first thing I think I noticed looking back on it, is the things that I used to enjoy, I didn't enjoy as much as I used to. I didn't get as much satisfaction or pleasure or elevated sense out of the things that I used to enjoy.
Now, obviously, Julie, you were getting concerned about all of this. What were you seeing at the time?
I think that Jason dealt with a lot of things internally before I saw some of the symptoms. I definitely noticed the thrill-seeking piece, the seeking out some kind of excitement. I think his social habits changed, and I noticed some of the distance started to grow.
Can you give me an example of social habits changing?
Just enjoying going out with buddies, enjoying going out to the bar, enjoying partying. Not to an extreme, but it was different than what we had done before, and I wasn't necessarily a part of it. And so it was just different in our relationship at that time. It was just different for us. But also riding motorcycles, that kind of stuff. The enjoyment of the typical Saturday hanging around or something like that. We always needed to be going and doing something. Something needed to be exciting. It was hard to know what might make Jason happy. What would be a fun, I don't know.
Of course, things got unhappier, actually, and came to a head. You had said by the summer of 2010, things were getting worse, more intrusive memories and flashbacks, trouble sleeping.
Anger.
How did that anger manifest itself?
I would blow up over small stuff, and I go from 0 to 100. I go from really mellow, and then something would just trigger me, and I'd be instantly angry, like explosive angry. And whatever that was, that little thing that made me go off, I'd start obsessing about it. So I could never get over it. And then immediately I felt guilty over the way I acted when I was angry. So then I'd withdraw.
It's like a cycle, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'd isolate myself. And in doing that, I thought that I was protecting the people I cared about from my anger, when in reality that did just as much damage to them as is being angry.
Were you able to help rein him in or moderate at all? Or
No. No. When Jason would get angry or lose his temper or something like that, no, I don't think any outside or external forces could have done anything. We slowly learned, that taking time away from the situation is the best way to handle it, rather than trying to confront it right now. And that was a hard process for us. But I think it was just a matter of time. I think once it all kind of came to a head, we knew we were dealing with something. It wasn't just angry outbursts. We knew that something else was going on, and I think that it was the awareness of that in both of our parts that we're able to just kind of understand that this is something that's going on, not just Jason having.
we sometimes hear about triggers. Were there triggers for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What would set you off?
I don't know. Confrontation set me off. I felt like if she was confronting me or somebody else was confronting me, I was going to hit back, but harder. Sand. Sand is a trigger for me. If I can't go to the beach anymore. A lot of times large crowds. Yeah, babies crying are a trigger for me. And I didn't know what was going on with that. And that was really hard with my own kids because they're still babies. I didn't know what was going on at first, but then, when we kicked somebody's door down in Baghdad and took their dad away from them, the women and the babies, they would cry their heads off, and it would always piss me off when that happened because I wasn't the bad guy. We were kicking in their doors because they were financing terrorists or directly involved with terrorism or whatever. So I didn't actually put that together till I started coming to the VA.
So those kind of sounds, do they haunt you? I mean, when you hear the echoes in your own
Yes.
children just crying?
Yes.
Does this all sound pretty familiar?
Sure. And I think Jason's been able to see that it's a response that many veterans are having, and many that are still out there that haven't sought help yet, that by being able to normalize this response, this is a normal human response to an abnormal condition. We're not supposed to be in combat situations as humans, and the response of the body gets out of whack. It doesn't know how to handle these things. It doesn't know how to process those memories and get rid of them. And they're going to be there. All we can do is help Jason and others is to learn to process it differently, to learn not to have the emotional response that they're currently having to them, and to try to help normalize it and habituate the response that they've had over years of kind of grooming them.
It took you years, really, to look for help. Was that because you were a tough guy?
Yes.
You were going to deal with it yourself?
Yep. I always thought that I could deal with it on my own. In retrospect, when you think about it, after the year that you've spent there and all the things that have happened to you and people you served with, this doesn't seem like such a big deal. These memories and all that other stuff, the intrusiveness and lack of sleep, all those things don't seem like a big deal. You handled all the combat stuff. You come home, why can't you handle this?
So how hard was it for you to actually seek help? Was it like jumping off a cliff? Was it like...
It was like jumping off the cliff and hitting the bottom of it. I didn't seek help till I had till I couldn't do it anymore, till I had a breakdown, I guess. I didn't even seek it. I had no interest in it. The VA was for the old guys.
So even though the help is there, I know that you reach less than half of all veterans who are suffering from PTSD. Is it because of this tough guy reluctance?
I think that, and the younger veterans, we hear this all the time, the VA's for old guys. That's where all the old veterans go. And it's not for me. I'm supposed to be able to handle this.
Right?
Yeah. So, but we've seen the same thing after Vietnam. We've been continuing to find new new cases of PTSD from Vietnam veterans 40 years later, where their system kept them kind of contained, that they're coming out because the new war is triggering them again.
So it's been a couple of years now that you've really been confronting this head on. What kind of journey has that been?
It's been a struggle. I mean, it's been hard. I mean, every step that you go through is a different experience, I guess. I mean, I first started going to see a psychologist like twice a month and a group. Well, that helps and it doesn't help, and I kind of continue to spiral downward, and then I went to the 8-week in-house cognitive processing therapy group to help me deal with, or not group, program here at the VA to help me deal with this. But the thing that's really hard has been really hard for me in the last couple of years is every time I get past something, it's a stuck point. Every time I get past one of my stuck points, like this happened because I did this, or I don't do this, or whatever, that reaffirms that this is what you have. It reaffirms that this is part of you. So the struggle for me personally was finding some kind of way of not letting the PTSD label define who I am as a person.
Right, it's what you have, it's not what you are.
Right. I mean, every step that you go through, you come to that block again and have to get past that, not just the stuff that happened to you.
Now, obviously, it's not just you, it's a family situation. Julie, you actually started a wives group to help yourself and others deal with this. What has that done?
I think that it's broadened my understanding. It's really helped me understand what Jason might be going through, and it's really helped me build some relationships with some other people that are going through the same thing. It really is a family issue, and I think that's one of the big things that Jason and I have tried to almost commit to each other. Even though Jason's going through this, we're both going through this, our kids are going through this, and we're committed to working through this together. And I think having the wives group affirms that lots of other families are doing the same thing. Lots of other people are experiencing the same kinds of things.
Well, I know that actually one of the services offered here is couples therapy. What are you trying to get at with that?
Well, I mean, because it doesn't affect just the veteran, it affects their whole family. We try to engage the veteran, their family, if they're willing, because not all veterans are willing to have their family involved. But when they are, it can help them with their couples issues, and then the spouses to help them just to understand what the veteran's going through, and then their own issues that are triggered by the veteran's own struggles.
I'm sure every science always has room for improvement, but when it comes to the treatment of PTSD, we're not talking cure, right? We're talking treatments?
Well, we treat, I mean, what's a cure? I mean, we can get veterans where they're no longer meeting all the symptoms for current PTSD. However, that's an up and down process. So many things can trigger some of those symptoms coming back later in life. Because we can't go in and all of a sudden pull the memories from their mind and then erase the trauma. And as long as the trauma is still in the history, the symptoms are there. So it takes continuous work. It's not something that we stop working on. It's a lifetime of work for the veteran and their spouses and family members.
Where do you think you're at right now?
I feel like I've come a long, long way since I started this program. Like Dr. Mann was saying, it's not a cure, but it's helped me deal with it tremendously. I mean, I didn't know how to deal with symptoms before. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't define them. I didn't know that there was any other emotions between being just leveled out and super mad. And you go through all that stuff, and you go through your stuck points, and you learn how to deal with things. And that in turn helps you with your family. So I think I've come a really long way in the last 2 years.
I would agree.
I'm
I
not
think-
saying I'm not cured. I got to work on it every day. You know, I
gotta
still
agree with
have.
you. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, Julie, Jason, we have just 30 seconds left, but your letter did conclude with saying we better understand each other and how to get to conflict resolution. So that sounds like the right path. So at that, I'm going to have to say we're out of time. That's going to be the last word for now. Our thanks to Dr. Mark Mann, Jason and Julie Kaufman, and of course the staff of the Sheridan VA Medical Center, and thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
I'm Richard Ager. Thanks for watching. Catch us next time on Wyoming Chronicle.